Hello and welcome to Lunar Scorpio Astrology, and my name is Rachel. So I decided to make this channel because I felt like it, and I actually have another channel that I make some skincare videos on, so if you want to learn about skincare, I will put that channel down below. But I mainly made this channel because people change in life, and I've changed in life, and my passion is, I'm still very passionate about skincare actually, but my passion has very much changed to astrology, and I love making YouTube videos. So I came across this channel called Party Trick Astrology, and they make astrology videos. I've came across a lot of videos that make astrology, but this channel in particular created a tag called the astrology tag, and I wanted to take part in it. Except I didn't want to post it on my beauty channel. For starters, Lunar Scorpio comes from having a Scorpio moon. And if you don't know anything about Scorpio moon, you will. But to just start off, Scorpio moons are very secretive. So I have a very emotional internal world you might know about if you watch my videos, but in real life you will not. So I wanted to just create like a new channel and have a fresh start, and I want to talk about stuff that I'm like super passionate about. That is astrology, and I don't think that's going to stop because astrology has really helped me understand myself, and it's really helped me overcome obstacles in my life. It's helped me get closer to God, and I really want to share this knowledge that I've learned, this passion that I have, and I just want to share it with you. So I decided to create this channel called Lunar Scorpio Astrology because I have a Scorpio moon. I love and hate that thing. So I'm super excited to create more videos for you, and I hope you enjoy it. I really want to talk about aspects in astrology. I'll go over like signs and stuff, but I feel like everybody kind of knows the basics of signs, and I really want to go over the aspects because I really feel like aspects in your chart make you who you are. House placements, a little bit deeper than just a sun sign. This tag is super great. It just has great questions. I encourage you to subscribe to Party Trick Astrology. Also do this tag if you want. You can definitely learn a lot about yourself just from these questions. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just like type it in on Google. I actually do get annoyed whenever I like specifically tell somebody something about astrology and they're like, tell me more, and it's like, you know what? Type it in on Google and learn like the rest of us. And I know that sounds blunt, but that's also why I wanted to create this channel. I want to be more of me, and for such a long time I felt that I needed to be this certain person, and astrology has just really helped me come to who I actually am and who I want to be, and I want to share that with people, and I want to do that by just starting a whole new channel. So if you would like to learn more about astrology, then subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to learn about me in this astrology tag, then please keep on watching. So the first question on the tag is, what is your sun, moon, and rising sign? And my sun sign is Libra. It's a 0 degrees Libra, so I actually am a cusp sign. A lot of people don't believe in cusp signs, but I do. I look at it more like a shower of water, and it's kind of like when you get into the shower and you turn the water on, it's cold, and even if you turn it all the way to hot, it's still cold until it works up the momentum to be hot. And that's kind of how I feel about cusp signs. So my sun sign is 0 degrees Libra, and if you don't know what 0 means, that's like at the very beginning. So I'm literally at the very beginning of Libra. So I really do feel like I'm like Libra, Virgo, and that's honestly what got me like involved in astrology, is learning about Virgo and connecting myself from Virgo. From my friend Leanna, actually. She has a YouTube channel. That's how I met her, and her husband has a YouTube channel, and he makes astrology videos, and that's kind of what introduced me to all of this. I'm kind of like, what? And she's like, Yeah, astrology. And then I was obsessed when she said that I was probably a Virgo. I do relate to the Libra sign because I can't really make decisions. It's kind of crappy, but I do. I really do just like weigh, like everything needs to be fair. It's super annoying. So my sun sign is Libra. My rising sign is Cancer. So that means I'm basically, if you meet me, like you see me talking right now, and if we were to meet in person, I would not be talking. That is one reason why I love making YouTube videos, and I discovered that through my skincare channel, because I can be open with who I really am, and I don't have that shell in front of me like a Cancer does, like a crab. The shell that just stops them from being themselves. Sometimes I have gotten to know people and they'd be like, wow, you've really changed. You talk so much. It's like, I haven't changed. I was trusting you until you made that comment, and now I'm going to go back into my shell. So that's Cancer rising for you. And then my moon sign is Scorpio. So I'm basically crazy. That's what that means. I don't really feel like I'm crazy, but a lot of people feel like Scorpios are crazy. And if you're a Scorpio, you know you're not crazy. But if you're not a Scorpio, you might think I'm crazy, but that's kind of more of a you problem than a me problem, because I want to share my emotions and I want to let the world know that they're okay. And just because you have emotions, that doesn't mean you're crazy. Okay, the second question is, what are your number one favorite and least favorite placements in your chart? I actually have come up with positive and negatives for almost every placement in my chart. I would say that a main factor on my chart is my Scorpio moon, because when you have a rising sign, you kind of take that ruling planet and you go to it and you look at that and you see what that is. So when you're Cancer rising, you are ruled by your moon. So you go to my moon in my chart, and that's Scorpio, a Scorpio moon. And it's also right on my Pluto. And when it's on your Pluto, you definitely cannot get away from it. So it's just kind of like a giant syringe of Scorpio inside of me that I don't share with anybody, except for probably my YouTube channel that I've just not created and I haven't told anybody about. Like I've said, I've come up with positive and negatives for almost every aspect of my chart, but I would say my North Node, which is like your soul purpose, kind of drives me crazy. My North Node is in Aquarius and in the 8th house of my chart, so it's very much like in past lives or in earlier lives, because it resonates with me both. Like, I do believe in past lives, but also my North Node fits my earlier childhood upbringing, and it's just kind of like I was basically, I know how to make money, and I know how to be on my own, and I know how to not share. I know how to be stable. So in this life, I'm not going to be happy unless I don't focus on that. And in this day and age, it's very hard to not focus on finances, so I find that to be very difficult. Sometimes an 8th house North Node can just lead you to like severe poverty, and I've definitely experienced that. But the part that I don't like, which is also the part that I do like, is I actually have the perfect placed Jupiter. Jupiter is something that just expands the house that it's in, and it can bring wealth and money. A lot of people tell you if you have a Jupiter like mine, you basically have to be retarded to be poor, unless it's closely aspected to your North Node. So my Jupiter is in my 2nd house of money and wealth, and it's in the house of Leo. If you don't know about Leo, basically those people make it. It is directly across from my North Node, so my North Node basically cancels out every positive aspect of my Jupiter, which I want to have. That's what you have, a North Node, which is what you strive to be, and then you have a South Node, which is what you're used to being. So it's like oh, it's so confusing because it's like I want to have money, you know, but I'm not going to be happy with just money. So my North Node prevents that. And it has been difficult. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but as time goes on, I'm learning to love my North Node and accept it. And I have actually put beside a lot of the materialistic things that, like, well, for starters, Libras, my sun sign, are called materialistic. When you have a cusp sign of Virgo Libra, it's even more materialistic. I didn't even think I was a materialistic person. You know, I've always been kind of like a little bit of a cheapskate. I've always tried to save money, but it's just kind of like, that's not good enough for an 8th house North Node. Like, you're really going to learn to not want anything to do with money. You're really going to learn what it's like to not have money and how it actually doesn't matter. And as time goes on, I understand that more, because it's really like, it really doesn't matter. Even if I have like a massive amount of debt, it's kind of like, it really doesn't matter in my soul, because as I've learned with astrology, I'm just kind of like a channel for my soul, and debt and money really doesn't affect my soul. It's just a part of the human existence. The third question is, what is the stupidest question or comment you've received from someone about astrology? And that would definitely have to be like my step grandma. She's not really my grandma, but like basically my whole life she was my grandma, but she definitely has a different way of looking at life, so she's been difficult to establish a relationship with, so that's why I don't really consider her my real grandma, because she's really difficult to get along with. And I remember I have 2 older sisters, and if you're not familiar with magazines, they almost always include a horoscope in the back of the magazine. And I remember one day when I was very young, I was in elementary school, and my sisters were reading in Cosmo, and they just started, my grandma was there, and they just started casually talking about horoscopes. And she just started laying into them about how it's the devil's work, how you'll go to hell if you like believe in astrology. And I remember like sneaking upstairs, and for some reason I remember like my mom had like this wall upstairs of like family photos. I just remember staring at my family photos, listening to my sisters getting bitched at basically by her. And I was just like, I don't know, I look at it now and I'm like, this is why I felt that way. It's because deep down inside, like, I knew what was going on, but as a child I didn't know what was going on. And she basically said, like, you're gonna go to hell if you read about astrology, and that's completely ridiculous. Because as soon as my friend Leanna told me about astrology, I was just like, world makes sense. It didn't before, now it does. And then I'm kind of like, what is wrong with you? Like, how does this not make sense to you? I have a Scorpio moon. I really related to my Scorpio moon. And she's full-blown Scorpio sun, Mercury, and Venus. And I do believe the issue was she did have a very hard life. Scorpios are known for having a difficult life, and they have a lot of issues they need to get over. And she did face a lot of traumatic events in her life, and she did kind of go to a Ouija board. And I will not touch a Ouija board. I can't say that I've experienced like other like ghostly presences in my life, but I'm still not going to touch a Ouija board. Apparently she really liked a Ouija board, and Scorpios are usually obsessed with stuff, so she was probably obsessed with a Ouija board. That did not go well for her, and so she really went the religious route of extreme Christian, to the point where you don't want to be Christian, and she's completely against astrology. And that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard, because when I started reading about astrology and it really resonated with me, it made me closer to God and the universe, whatever you want to call them. So it's almost like astrology is completely spiritual, so it's a little bit ridiculous that you say that you're going to go to hell if you read about it. Okay, the second thing that bothers me is sometimes I try to talk about astrology to people, and example being, like, my sun is 0 degrees Libra, and my Mercury and Venus is in Virgo. So if you know about astrology, you know that Libra is like a very weak sun sign. And so the Virgo energy almost takes over the Libra. And that's why I really didn't care about astrology before, because I was reading about Libra and I'm like, no. Like, I can't make decisions very well, and that's about it. And it wasn't until I read about, like, Virgo where I'm like, wow, like, that's really like me. So I do know people that have a similar birthday to me, and I'll try to be like, yeah, you're probably very much Virgo. You have Virgo Mercury, you have Virgo Venus, and then you have, like, this small Libra sun, and they'll just be like, my sun sign's Libra. And it's just like, okay, you're more than just a sun sign. Like, you're more than just a sun sign. But it's very hard for some people to understand that. So I want you to understand that you are more than just a sun sign. What is a placement that you are envious of? And I would definitely say, like, probably Sagittarius rising, other than the person that I know that has the same chart as me, who's a Sag rising, who has the Jupiter across the North Node, which sucks. I've already said that. I really do feel like Sagittarius risings don't really have a problem with their finances. Like, my dad has a Sagittarius rising, and he can, like, honestly screw up in his life all he wants, but he's always got money. Most Sagittarius risings I know, which are ruled by Jupiter, like the planet of money and expansion, usually have money, and so I think that's pretty great. I've already talked about my South Node really liking money, so of course I like that. And then, like, also, like, Leo placements, like, usually Leos also have money. I like money, I guess. But that just elaborates on how my North Node frustrates me, because I'm not, the more that I like money, the less happy I will be, and the further away I am from, like, my sole purpose, so I won't be happy. But I really do feel like fire signs just get what they want. They just know it and they get it. It's like sometimes I can know what I want and I'll try for it and it doesn't happen. Aside from my Jupiter, I don't have any fire energy, and like I said, if your Jupiter is closely aspected to your North Node, like, it's probably not going to work out financially for you, which is exactly how my life has been. What is your favorite Mars placement in someone else? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you know what I mean. I do love my Scorpio moon, so I'm just going to say Mars and Scorpio. Like, I really feel like I want to meet, like, a Mars and Scorpio. I just feel like I want to. And if you know that Taylor Swift song, Look What You Made Me Do, that is very much Scorpionic, and she has a Mars and Scorpio, and I honestly just, like, that song is so true for Scorpios, but my moon and then my Libra sun just, like, almost doesn't express that, so I'm, like, a little bit jealous when people can do that. So it's almost like I'd like to have a Mars in Scorpio so that I can just be myself unapologetically, which is difficult for me. Like, I had to learn to be myself, and I still have to accept that I don't need to be sorry for it. So yeah, I would like Mars in Scorpio. The next question is, what moon or moons do you think you will give to your future child or children? And I actually do have a child, and he's going to be 7 here in a little more than a week. He's a Sag, and he actually has an Aquarius moon in the 4th house. And honestly, I've read about that clearly, and it just perfectly fits our situation. Usually if you have an Aquarius moon, like, you kind of look at your mom, or not really you look at your mom that way, but you basically have, like, a little bit of a weird mom. And I'm kind of weird. If you haven't heard me speaking, I'm a little bit weird. I love astrology. I've gotten into like rocks and crystals. Like, I've just gotten very spiritual, and it's completely different than every single person I'm around. And he also has the 4th house moon, which means like your mom's basically obsessed with you, and I'm basically obsessed with my child. So we have like a very close relationship, and I'm weird, so it just fits perfectly. A lot of people say that your 5th house is like what your children are going to be. And my 5th house is Scorpio, which contains my moon. And my sun actually does have a lot of Scorpio energy. My sun's Libra rising, and then his Venus is in Scorpio. So yes, he's very much a little bit Scorpio. But he's also himself. I find it to be a lot different than myself because I'm an emotional person, so I can be like upset about my feelings, and he just doesn't really relate to that at all. I do feel like a Scorpio Venus like does make him emotional. Like, he'll like definitely get emotional about stuff happening on TV. He's very, very much into like babies, baby animals, baby children. So if he sees anything bad happening to anything that's like a baby, he will get emotional about it. But we did have a conversation the other day about how he thinks it's more appropriate for you to be emotional over like eating asparagus than your life falling apart. That's definitely different than what I feel. But he's still very much a Scorpio person. Do you have any birth chart deal breakers when it comes to someone you'd be in a relationship with? And I'm going to be honest, I usually date people with an Aries Venus, and I don't really like that because my Venus is in Virgo, and that is basically like I'm going to serve you and like give you everything, and I don't really expect anything in return. But I feel like when I'm with like an Aries Venus, they're very much about themselves. It's almost like at some point I hit a breaking point, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't really expect anything in return except you give nothing. So you're making me demand it, and it just becomes this thing that bothers me. And I honestly think it would be great to be with someone that's not a Venus in Aries. So it's like a deal breaker for me. However, there are certain signs of Venus that just make Venus weak, and almost to a level where they even out. And a Virgo Venus can be a little bit weak because I feel like I need to find the things that I love about myself and other people and have them give that to me, and then that's why I will attract people that don't give that to me. And Aries Venus is almost like on another spectrum of that, of the same level of like Venus that's not operating how it should be. And so it's almost like I don't like Venus in Aries, but I attract Venus in Aries, and I like Venus in Aries, and I don't like it, but at the same time I almost learn so much more about myself with Venus of Aries. So this just continues on with how I come up with like positive and negative to everything, and honestly that's literally what it's like being a Libra. It drives you crazy, like completely. Alright, the next question is, what made you believe in astrology? And I've kind of already said this, but when I was making beauty videos, I did meet this girl named Leanna, and I just really connected with her. And it was actually at a time when I was really in the MBTI. If you don't know what that is, I'll link it down below, because it was the first thing I was obsessed with. I was lost, obviously, and then I took this test and I got INFP on it, and I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, nothing is wrong with me. I'm just me, and you are you, and if you don't accept me and my emotions, that's one thing, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong, you know? And I really felt like we connected on that, and then I had to take the test, and she got ENFP, and I'm like, so you're just an extroverted version of myself? So narcissistic? I'm really not a narcissist. Really not. But anyways, we're really connected, and then like I got to know her a little more, and she's like, I'm vegan, blah, 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 blah. We get to it, and, you know, she's, like, dating this celebrity astrologer, and now she's married to him, and then I'm kind of like, okay, what is this? And I did have that thing of my grandma saying that, like, you would go to hell, and I can't actually say that I had, like, a really good grasp on, like, God or anything before that. I did keep an open mind. I know you didn't need proof on anything, and I know you needed faith, so I was just kind of like, I don't want to go to hell. That's basically what I was like. And she was like, a lot of Christians actually believe in astrology. She's the one that told me that, you know, based on my chart, I was probably more like a Virgo. And then I read, like, Virgo, and I'm like, yeah, that's so me. And then I kept reading about stuff in my chart, and I'm like, wow, that's me too. Wow, that's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. And there's really, honestly, no way of denying it for me. And then I did talk to my other friend. I have a friend that lives in Europe. She lives in Denmark. And I told her about it. And she was just kind of like, her mind was blown as well. And it was just like, we just had like a mind-blowing experience, and I've just been obsessed with it ever since. So I'm so grateful for my friend Leanna and her husband for introducing this to me, and kind of me getting over that hump that I already subconsciously knew that I needed to get over with my step-grandma saying that you'd go to hell, basically. What are the most and least relatable things in your chart? I kind of talked about this earlier. I would definitely say it's my Jupiter and my second house in Leo, which is explained as basically you would have to try to be poor. And I just don't relate to almost anything that says. You know, it says like you're a very optimistic person, and it's like I do see the good in people, but I see the good in people like in a negative way. Like I see the good in people because I accept that everybody's basically negative, and you know, my finances aren't up to par, and that is really the only thing that I've come across in my chart that I don't relate to. Definitely say I don't relate to my Jupiter. It says, and the last question is, what celebrity is closest to your natal chart? And I'm going to be honest with you, like, if you go to astrotheme.com, which is my favorite website for reading your chart, and Astrotheme will kind of tell you who's closest to your chart. And my chart is closest to, like, a very old actress, and I look at her charts and I'm like, oh yeah, they're relatable. But I really think that I relate to Leonardo DiCaprio, and for starters, I love him. He's like my first crush, everything. Like, I was like 6 when I first saw him, and I'm like, heart beating out of chest on growing pains. And he's a Scorpio sun, which goes perfect with my Scorpio moon. And then he has a Libra moon, which goes perfect with my Libra sun. And we're just astrological soulmates that'll never meet, probably. Unless I, like, magically become a Victoria's Secret model or something. But that's that. I do love Scorpio moons. That's why Cancer rising and my Scorpio moon is just like so much to me. Like, I love Lady Gaga, Scorpio moon. Miley Cyrus, love her, Scorpio moon. Beyonce, Scorpio moon. You know, Katy Perry's like literally a Scorpio. She's like everything Scorpio, I believe. And I can't actually say she's my most favorite person, but I really do like her as well. I really like Scorpio moons. And Leonardo DiCaprio. Alright, so that's it for this astrology tag. I hope you enjoyed it. Do it! I highly recommend you go to astrotheme.com, look up your chart, and read about it and learn about yourself. And if you're in denial about something, that's probably something you need to work on. And then a little side note, when you go to astrotheme.com, it'll like put your houses in like a Placidius form, and I like taking Placidius and the whole sign, which is just like whole sign, which I can get into in another video. I like taking both of those into consideration. So if you have like a planet that falls in like your 7th house in Placidius, read the 7th house aspects. But if naturally that falls into your like 8th house with whole sign, read about that too, because it's probably also true as well. That's my greatest advice for you. There wasn't like a thing on here that was like, what's your greatest advice? But that's honestly the greatest advice I come up with, is be very open-minded when it comes to astrology. Don't look for proof. It's called faith. You need to have faith in it. And in my opinion, like, a lot of people think astrology is fake with all the planets, but in my opinion, I'm like, what do you think all those planets are doing out there? Do you really think that like there's all these planets out there doing absolutely nothing and we're like some special little creatures on Earth that just get everything? No, we're not that great. I think they all have a purpose, and I think that you will too if you really look into it. So I plan to get further into astrology with aspects. I hope to help lead you on a good spiritual journey, not religious based, just spiritual and with the universe and with astrology. So if you'd like to learn more about astrology, then subscribe to my channel and keep on watching. I will see you in my next video.